The fog lifted slowly that September morning in 1944. German tank crews peered through their periscopes. Something was moving out there. Fast. Too fast. The sound hit them first. A high-pitched whine, like an aircraft engine screaming across the battlefield. Then came the muzzle flashes. Brief. Deadly. Gone before their gunners could react. What they witnessed that day near Aracourt would shatter everything they believed about armored warfare. The 113th Panzer Brigade had rolled out at dawn, confident. Their Panthers represented the pinnacle of German engineering. Thick armor, powerful guns, proven in countless battles across Europe. But the Americans had built something different, something that moved like liquid death across the French countryside. The M18 Hellcat could reach 55 miles per hour, faster than any tracked vehicle the Germans had ever encountered. 3 Panthers burned within 5 minutes of first contact. Their crews never saw what hit them. The entire engagement lasted 20 seconds. Fire. Vanish. Reposition. Fire again. The German turrets turned slowly, searching empty ground where muzzle flashes had appeared moments before. By day's end, 39 German tanks lay smoking in the fields around Aracourt. The mathematics of tank warfare had been rewritten. Speed had become the ultimate weapon. The story began 3 years earlier. December 1941. Lieutenant Colonel Andrew Bruce stood in a classified briefing room. The War Department wanted answers. German blitzkrieg had crushed Europe. Poland fell in 35 days. France collapsed in 6 weeks. Traditional thinking said you fought tanks with bigger tanks, thicker armor, larger guns. Bruce proposed something radical. Hunt tanks like cavalry hunted infantry through speed, surprise, maneuver. The motto was simple: seek, strike, destroy. American industry got to work. Buick designed the prototype. The specifications seemed impossible. A 17-ton vehicle carrying a 76mm gun, moving at highway speeds across rough terrain. German intelligence dismissed the reports. Their doctrine demanded heavy armor, powerful weapons. The idea of paper-thin tank destroyers seemed militarily absurd. They would learn otherwise. May 1944 brought the first encounters. Near Anzio, Hermann Göring Panzer Division met something new. Their combat reports described vehicles moving at impossible speeds, 70 to 80 kilometers per hour, engaging, destroying, disappearing. Berlin filed the reports as exaggerated. Combat stress, they claimed. Experienced crews overestimating enemy capabilities. The truth was far more terrifying. The M18 carried revolutionary technology. A Wright R975 radial engine. Aircraft technology adapted for ground combat. 400 horsepower driving 17 tons. The power-to-weight ratio embarrassed every German tank. Hydraulic turret traverse provided the killing advantage. German turrets depended on engine speed for rotation. At idle, a Panther needed 60 seconds for complete traverse. The Hellcat's hydraulic system maintained 15 degrees per second regardless of engine RPM. Mathematics became destiny. At 55 miles per hour, an M18 could cross 400 meters in 16 seconds. A German turret needed 30 to 60 seconds just to track a moving target through 180 degrees. The Americans had built a vehicle that could outrun enemy gun tubes. Training began at Camp Hood, Texas. M18 crews learned different skills than traditional tankers. Drivers mastered high-speed maneuvering, rapid acceleration, emergency braking, terrain exploitation at maximum velocity. Gunners abandoned precision for speed, quick target acquisition, firing on the move. Accept lower hit probability for rapid engagement cycles. Commanders thought 3 moves ahead. always planning the next two firing positions before engaging the current target. The psychological profile was unique. Recruiters sought men comfortable with risk, quick decision-makers, soldiers who preferred agility over the false comfort of heavy armor. September 19, 1944. The morning that changed everything. Lieutenant Edwin Leiper's platoon positioned around Ericourt, 4 M18s against an entire Panzer brigade. The fog provided perfect cover for American tactics. Shoot and scoot. Fire 3 rounds. Displace 200 yards. Engage from a different angle. Never remain stationary longer than 60 seconds. Sergeant Henry Hartman's gun crew achieved the impossible. 6 Panthers destroyed in rapid succession. Each engagement followed the same pattern. Fire. Reverse at full speed. Relocate. Fire again. German crews heard engines screaming away before their turrets could traverse. Muzzle flashes appeared from unexpected directions. Their carefully aimed return shots struck empty ground. The 113th Panzer Brigade's losses were catastrophic. 39 tanks destroyed. 11 damaged. Estimated American losses: 3 to 4 vehicles. German tactical doctrine had met American innovation. Doctrine lost. When German forces finally captured an intact M18 near Metz, their weapons testing officers conducted thorough examination. The technical specifications challenged every assumption about tank destroyer design. Weight: 17.7 tons versus Panthers' 44.8 tons. Maximum speed: 88.5 kilometers per hour confirmed. Panther maximum: 46 kilometers per hour. Power-to-weight ratio: 22.6 horsepower per ton. Panther: 15.6. Tiger 1: 12.8. The German report concluded with grudging respect. Vehicle achieves performance through extreme design philosophy. Armor protection sacrificed for mobility. Combat effectiveness depends entirely on speed and crew training. But understanding didn't equal countering. December 1944 brought Hitler's final gamble: the Ardennes offensive. 2nd Panzer Division spearheaded the drive toward Antwerp. 4 M18s from 2 tank destroyer battalions faced overwhelming odds at Nouville. The morning fog that concealed German movements became the Hellcats' ally. Fire 2 rounds. Reverse into the mist. Relocate 300 yards. Engage from completely different angle. German tank commanders traversed their turrets toward muzzle flashes. Found nothing. The M18s had already moved. Already repositioned. Already acquired new targets. 24 German tanks burned. 1 M18 lost to artillery. The 48-hour delay allowed 101st Airborne to strengthen Bastogne's defenses. The vital crossroads held. General Hasso von Manteuffel issued desperate tactical guidance. Do not attempt to track moving M18s with turret traverse. Pre-position turrets on likely displacement routes. Use infantry with Panzerfausts. Employ artillery suppression. Avoid pursuit. M18s will always outrun German vehicles. The adaptations proved largely ineffective. Speed advantage was simply too great. German crews couldn't overcome years of training emphasizing deliberate precision over rapid response. Production statistics tell the industrial story. Buick manufactured 2,507 M18s between July 1943 and October 1944. Peak production, 267 units in November 1943. Cost, $55,230 per vehicle in 1943 dollars. Expensive due to specialized components, but mass-producible using automotive industry techniques. German Panthers cost 100 Reichsmarks. Required significantly more production time. Complex final drives, transmission systems prone to failure. The M18 emphasized reliability through simplicity. Wright radial engine already in aircraft production. Torque-matic automatic transmission eliminated complex driver training. Open-topped turrets simplified manufacturing. Standard automotive components wherever possible. American industrial philosophy met German perfectionist engineering. Mass production defeated artisan craftsmanship. Combat records by war's end revealed the M18's impact. 704th Tank Destroyer Battalion, 106 enemy tanks destroyed. 603rd Battalion, 92 kills. 609th Battalion, 67 kills. 715th Battalion, 89 kills. 815th Battalion, 51 kills. Overall statistics painted a complex picture. Total M18s in combat, 540 maximum strength. Combat losses, 216 vehicles. Kill-to-loss ratio, 2.3 to 1 in Europe. The 2.3 to 1 ratio was respectable, but fell short of pre-war expectations. More significantly, M18 units spent 70% of combat time in infantry support rather than hunting tanks. The tank destroyer doctrine's fundamental assumption of mass enemy armor attacks proved largely incorrect. But when tank versus tank combat occurred, the Hellcats' advantages were undeniable. Italian mountains presented different challenges. The 805th Tank Destroyer Battalion discovered that even restrictive terrain couldn't negate mobility advantages completely. M18s rapidly redeployed between threatened sectors using mountain roads where heavier vehicles struggled. During Gothic line battles, Hellcats raced to commanding heights, engaged German vehicles in valleys below, relocated before counter-battery fire arrived. German commanders accustomed to ponderous Allied movements in difficult terrain were repeatedly surprised by M18 response times. A German Corps-level report noted, "Enemy tank destroyers demonstrate ability to concentrate rapidly at threatened points. Speed of redeployment prevents effective counter-battery fire." The Pacific presented unique challenges. The 637th Tank Destroyer Battalion brought M18s to the Philippines. Minimal Japanese armor meant primarily infantry support roles. The open turret proved nearly fatal against Japanese tactics. Crews welded improvised overhead cover. Chicken wire screens defended against grenades and satchel charges. Vehicle speed allowed rapid response to infiltration attempts. But jungle terrain often negated mobility advantages entirely. Revolutionary features set the M18 apart from contemporary vehicles. The torque-matic transmission represented automotive innovation. 3 forward speeds shifted automatically based on speed and load. Drivers concentrated entirely on maneuvering rather than gear selection. Critical at high speeds under combat stress. Torsion bar suspension provided 14 inches of wheel travel. This system allowed sustained high-speed movement over rough terrain. Long suspension travel absorbed impacts that would damage leaf spring vehicles. The Wright R975 radial engine delivered exceptional power-to-weight ratio. 9-cylinder air-cooled aircraft engine. Early C1 models produced 350 horsepower. Later, C4 versions generated 400 horsepower. Air cooling eliminated vulnerable radiators and coolant systems. Hydraulic turret traverse, powered by electric motor driving hydraulic system, provided consistent 15 degrees per second traverse regardless of engine speed or vehicle movement. Critical advantage over German manual traverse systems dependent on engine RPM. The M18's greatest weakness was obvious: paper-thin armor. Maximum protection of 25 mm on turret front. Just 13 mm on hull sides. Vulnerable to almost every German anti-tank weapon. 37 mm anti-tank guns at any range. Panzerfaust infantry weapons. Artillery fragments. Even heavy machine gun fire at close range on side armor. This vulnerability shaped every aspect of employment. Never remain stationary under enemy observation. Avoid urban combat where speed is negated. Maintain minimum 500-meter standoff. from enemy infantry. Use terrain masking continuously. Coordinate with infantry to suppress enemy anti-tank weapons. M18 crews developed supernatural awareness of surroundings, constantly scanning for threats and escape routes. Speed became their armor. Mobility, their survival. Post-war interviews revealed the psychological reality. Staff Sergeant Vernon Miller, 805th Tank Destroyer Battalion. We lived by 3 rules: shoot fast, move fast, think fast. If you did all 3, you went home. If you failed at any one, you didn't. Technical Sergeant John Patterson, 603rd Tank Destroyer Battalion. The Hellcat wasn't about fair fights, it was about unfair fights in our favor. We'd hit them where they didn't expect, when they didn't expect, and be gone before they knew what happened. Private First Class Robert Chen, 704th Tank Destroyer Battalion. Every time I climbed into our M18, I knew I was sitting in a tin can. But it was a tin can that could run 55 miles per hour. That speed saved my life more times than any armor could have. Combat statistics tell the complete story. Top speed, 55 miles per hour on roads. Cross-country speed, 26 miles per hour. Acceleration, 0 to 30 miles per hour in 11 seconds. Range, 150 miles on 75 gallons of fuel. Ground pressure, 10.5 psi, lighter than many trucks. Average kills per vehicle, 2.4 enemy tanks. Average survival time in combat, 67 days. Mechanical reliability, 200 miles between major maintenance. Crew survival rate, when vehicle destroyed, 73%. These statistics reveal both strengths and weaknesses. High crew survival rate reflected vehicle speed. Crews could often escape even when their M18 was hit. Relatively short combat survival time confirmed thin armor vulnerability. The M18's influence extends beyond specific vehicles to fundamental concepts. Modern warfare emphasizes rapid target engagement, conceptually similar to shoot-and-scoot tactics. Today's active protection systems attempt to replicate what the M18 achieved through speed, avoiding hits rather than absorbing them. Network-centric warfare mirrors M18 platoons coordinating rapid attacks from multiple directions. Asymmetric response demonstrates that technological superiority doesn't require matching enemy capabilities. It requires negating them. Modern wheeled tank destroyers like the Italian Centauro, Japanese Type 16, and American M1128 mobile gun system represent the M18's conceptual descendants, accepting vulnerability for strategic and tactical mobility. Why couldn't German forces, renowned for tactical innovation, effectively counter the M18 threat? Several factors contributed to their failure. Doctrinal rigidity dominated German thinking. Tank training emphasized deliberate long-range gunnery. Crews spent years perfecting precise shooting techniques. These skills were useless against rapidly displacing targets. Technical limitations hampered response. German turret traverse systems dependent on engine RPM couldn't match the M18's consistent hydraulic traverse. At idle or low engine speeds, German tanks were virtually helpless against flanking M18s. Psychological shock affected performance. German tankers had operated with impunity against most Allied armor. The psychological impact of suddenly becoming prey rather than predator cannot be underestimated. Communication breakdown complicated responses. German tactical radios, already stressed by Allied jamming, couldn't coordinate responses to rapidly moving M18s operating in platoons. Post-war analysis revealed the broader implications. The Soviet Union developed the PT-76 light amphibious tank and later BMP infantry fighting vehicle, emphasizing mobility. Britain created the CVRT series, prioritizing speed for reconnaissance. France built the AMX-13 with autoloader to reduce weight. Germany itself underwent complete reversal. The Leopard 1 abandoned heavy armor for mobility. Complete reversal of World War II for II philosophy. The M18 Hellcat stands as one of World War II's most innovative combat vehicles. Born from American industrial capability and tactical creativity, it challenged fundamental assumptions about armored warfare. German tankers, trained to dominate through superior armor and firepower, discovered that American innovation meant changing the rules entirely. The Hellcat's 55-mile-per-hour top speed wasn't just a technical specification. It was a paradigm shift that German tactical doctrine couldn't accommodate. The M18 proved that in warfare, as in nature, survival doesn't always favor the strongest or most heavily armed. Sometimes it favors the fastest, the most agile, the most adaptable. German tank crews watching their carefully aimed shots miss rapidly disappearing. M18s learned this lesson repeatedly. In the killing fields of France, the frozen forests of the Ardennes, the final battles in Germany itself, today's military historians see more than just a successful tank destroyer. They see American military innovation at its most creative, identifying enemy strengths and systematically negating them through unconventional means. The German tankers never knew American Hellcats could reach such speeds until they faced them in combat. That technological surprise, combined with tactical innovation and crew training, created a weapon system that transcended its mechanical specifications. The M18 Hellcat rewrote the mathematics of armored combat. It proved that protection didn't require armor, that lethality didn't require the biggest gun, that battlefield dominance could be achieved through mobility rather than mass. At 55 miles per hour, it outran not just German tanks, but German military doctrine itself. The ghosts of M18s still haunt modern military thinking. Every time a planner chooses mobility over protection, every time a commander emphasizes speed over deliberation, every time a designer accepts vulnerability to achieve performance, the Hellcat's lesson echoes through decades. Sometimes the best armor is not being where the enemy shoots. German tankers of the 113th Panzer Brigade, the 2nd Panzer Division, and dozens of other units learned this lesson in blood and fire. They faced an enemy that refused to fight on their terms. That turned their strengths into weaknesses. That struck and vanished like phantoms in the fog. They learned that American innovation didn't mean building better tanks. It meant building something entirely different. Something that moved too fast for their tactics, their training, and their turrets to counter. The M18 Hellcat remains proof that in warfare, speed can be the ultimate weapon. 55 miles per hour of American audacity that hunted the hunters. German tankers never knew such speeds were possible until it was already too late. The war was lost, not just on the battlefield, but in the realm of imagination, where American engineers dared to trade armor for velocity, creating a predator that redefined the rules of armored combat forever.